Hey folks, Mike Ferraro here with Tetra Healing. Please forgive the bounciness of my phone. I forgot my little tripod thing to set it up, so I'm kind of trying to prop it up against my steering wheel here. In Edmonds, Washington, nice rainy day today. Just got off work a little bit ago, but wanted to talk a little bit about anger, frustration, anxiety, the entities slash demons slash just the things that exist that like to help us be in a space of that anxiety, of that anger, and that they like to sip that energy, sip that louche, drink it like a fine wine with their pinky up. That was good. Argue a little bit more. Oh, my cup's getting empty. Let's throw a little bit more into that argument to get them all pissed. Yeah, that's good stuff. So it's like, so this experience that I had this weekend, I will say that there was alcohol involved. Alcohol and drugs just they close you off. They make it much easier for these things to be able to come forward and influence. One of the things that I've noticed is that the more and more that you do your personal work and work on yourself on bringing in more light and living with more love and compassion and kindness and things like that, your abilities begin to increase. One of the things that start to happen is you start to realize and notice the things that are around you that are of that nature, and they're actual entities, actual beings that exist, and you can feel them, and you can feel when they come around. There's a sense that just suddenly pops up. It's hard to explain. It's different for every person. When I was in the middle of this argument situation, all of a sudden I felt it, and I knew that it was there, and I was like, oh, this is what's going on. This thing is influencing what's going on. And I started to think about what was being said and how it was being said, and I realized how stupid it was and how much we were going in circles with what it is that we were talking, with what we were talking about. And it made absolute total sense at that moment. I was like, that explains what I'm feeling. And I feel like that there was a delay in feeling that thing being there and its influence on what was being experienced. And once I felt it, then I knew that I just had to remove myself from the situation, which I did for about an hour, and then I came back later. And it was a lot better at that point because I did some work on myself, and it definitely helped with with just the energy of the room and the two of us that were involved in this craziness. But it's important to remember that as you work on yourself, if you're consciously trying to better yourself, to bring in more light into your life, to bring in more compassion, to have more understanding, more patience, to act more out of a loving space versus judgment, trying to lessen the amount of anger and anxiety that you're experiencing. The process does not mean that you're going to suddenly start living in a world full of unicorns and butterflies and rainbows and things like that. It doesn't work that way. Actually, what it does is it as you start to clear things out, you become more sensitive to the things that are around you and become more aware of the things that are there, and it helps you to see more clearly when things are there. And I will say that alcohol and drugs are some of those things that cloud that awareness. It doesn't matter how evolved you are in your process, those things are going to cloud the process. And that doesn't mean that you can't, have some drinks or smoke some weed or something like that and have fun every once in a while, but just know that those things do have an effect. One of the things in this process of growth, personal growth, is learning how to protect yourself, learning how to take your personal energy and protect it from things that have an outside influence. And a lot of these things are unseen. A lot of the negative thoughts that we have are influenced from outside forces that you don't see on a 3D level. And you don't see them with your eyes, you don't hear them with your ears, but you can feel them. You can definitely feel them when they pop in. And the more that you do this work, the more sensitive you get to them. And the easier it is to be able to tell that there is something that's actually there. And you can sometimes feel the actual influence. And the way that you would protect yourself if you don't do it already, and if you're looking for some advice on how to do that, it's mostly intuitive for each individual person. It's about feeling what works best for you, and it's going to be a trial and error type of situation. You might come up with something that you really, really like, and that you start doing, and then shoot, you could be doing it for a year or two, and then all of a sudden you come up with something new. It just starts to transform and mutate into something that becomes more and more powerful as you begin to change, and you start to realize the different aspects of the energy that you're pulling in, and you start to feel what works differently. For myself personally, I like to visualize a golden white light coming from my heart. I utilize the energy coming from my solar plexus. That's the energy center of the body, and have that energy come up, starting from the root, and gather into the solar plexus and really build right there in that spot, and then come up to the heart and visualize it as a golden white light that's as bright as a star. Like if you're looking directly at the sun, and it's blinding, but isn't painful to look at. And then it just slowly starts to spread throughout the entire body and becomes a shell that surrounds the body, and nothing can penetrate that. It's important to know in your heart that nothing can penetrate that field. Excuse me. Nothing can penetrate it. And I came up with something for myself where I will basically say that anything that does not have my highest good in its intentions cannot be in this space. And I came up with the what I just call the 3 M's. It's just kind of a cheesy little acronym thing, but basically anything that is malicious, malevolent, or manipulative is not allowed to be in my space, within this space that I have created. The only thing within this space that is allowed are those energies that have my highest good in their intentions, period. And you set that intention, and you know it 100% that it is impenetrable. And then from there you can do your work, or whatever the situation might be. Maybe it's a moment of just needing to cleanse your space after you experience a certain situation, a fight, an argument. You notice yourself getting pissed off while you're driving, and you're cussing someone out, and you can just feel a bunch of anxiety. Something happens at work, whatever it might be. And then I like to sit at the end of the day, maybe in bed as I'm beginning to fall asleep, and kind of reflect on the day and think about what are the things, maybe if I had something that triggered me at some point, what actually did trigger me, and go through it and be honest with myself. And was I acting out of my highest good? Did I become egotistical? Did I become angry? Whatever ended up happening at that point, and then go through and heal that situation with love and kindness and understanding and compassion, and go back through, and if I was wronged in some way, to forgive that person for whatever it was that they did, and if I was the one that was in the wrong, to forgive myself for doing it, and to understand why I came from that space in the first place, and then to cleanse that space out. And part of the way that I will cleanse it is by going through just that quick thing that I was telling you about, with building up that golden white light around myself, and just purging all of those energies out and giving thanks for it, having gratitude for those moments, because each one is able to show us something new about ourselves that we're able to learn from and become stronger because of what it's showing us. It's showing us our weakness. It's showing us where we need to grow, areas that we need to fill with light. But also know that there are things that exist in other dimensions, other realms, beings, entities, demons, whatever you want to call them. There's probably a whole array of stuff that's out there, but they do exist and they are real, and they want to F with you every single chance that you get. And the more that you step into the light and the more that you want to work on yourself and truly better yourself, the more that they're going to mess with you. And the more important it becomes to be able to do the work and to be able to cleanse yourself and to be able to protect yourself and to know when there are things around and to learn how to feel when those things are around and to know how to combat them so that you can take care of yourself in the process. I feel like it's never ending. It's always going to be happening. All we can do is do our best to go further and keep getting better and keep giving thanks. Keep existing as much as possible in that love, in that forgiveness, and through that to be able to bring in gratitude into your life. So yeah, I guess that's it for now. So live life lucidly and see you on the next one.